Hello and welcome. My name is Germán Merlo. I'm a two-time Sitecore certified developer, and I'm working for JDK Outstanding Technologies. Today, we are going to cover conditional renderings and personalization. So, a conditional rendering is basically a piece of content or a component that is displayed based on a predefined condition. That is, if the condition is met, then we display the content, and if it's not, we can either display some other content, or even hide the component. Okay, so to do that, we go to one of our pages and then go to the presentation details section. Now, here we have just a common rendering. It doesn't have anything special, but if we click on the personalize button here, we will have this new window where we can personalize the component and select the different rules and conditions that will be applied before rendering this component in a page. You see by default, there's no conditions, and it says if none of the other conditions are true, then the default condition is used. In this case, it'll show the component, but it has no data source associated. So if we click in this plus button, we will be able to add a new rule, uh, and I'll give it a name, in this case, Sitecore demo. And if we click on edit rule, we will see the list of predefined rules that Sitecore has out of the box. You see, this is quite an extensive list, and some of these are really, really helpful. But most likely, when you're working for some client, you will need to create your own condition, and that's something we will do today together. Okay, so let's close all of this. And to create our own condition, we need to go to the system node, then settings, and then rules. There's three steps that we need to take here. The first one would be to create a custom tag, right? So to do that, we will create a Sitecore demo tag. And for this demo, what we will do is create a rule that checks whether uh, a certain movie released on a specific year should displayed as already released or a future release, then it's coming soon, right? So after adding the tag, what we need to do is to add an elements folder. So we scroll up, go to elements, and we will create a new elements folder. In this case, will be Sitecore demo 2. And in our folder, we will be able to create a new condition. Okay, so we select condition, we give it a name. In this case, will be the movie year. Okay, and the condition has these two fields that are the most important, the text and the type. The text will be the text shown to the content authors when they are setting up the condition in the conditional rendering. And it'll have some variables that we will use and leverage from the backend to determine the values that we need to compare and what type of operation we need to do. So for the sake of the demo, we already have the text in place, and we will go through it in detail. So here, where the movie launch year has a value that, and we will use a string value. So we are using here a string operator, and we will use the comparison macros. So this will offer a list of things to select, which will serve as comparison to what we define in the second block here. In this second block, what we have is basically the variable that we will send to the backend to do what we need to do, the comparison that we need to run. And this is what we use in the logic to determine whether the condition is met or not. Then, separated by comma, in the second place, we will have the macro that contains some sort of predefined functionality, or we can leave it as blank, as we do in this case. Then the third place would be if we have any sort of URL parameters related to the user interface. In this case, we have none, so we leave it blank. And then in the last position, we have the text that we display in the rules editor before selecting the corresponding value. So year value here is the property that we will send to the backend, and value is just the placeholder text that we will have in the rule before assigning a proper value, right? Okay. So then we go to the type section, and here is where we specify the class that will take care of the logic associated with our condition. Okay, so we go to Visual Studio, and as you can see here, we have already a custom rule in place. We created just a new class, we named it custom rule, and we made it inherit from the string operator condition, which is already exists, and it has to have also this rule context here. This is what tells Sitecore that this is a custom rule and that we will be overriding, as you can see below, the execute method. One thing to notice is that here we are specifying the same variable that we specified here in Sitecore. So these values have to have the same name so that we can get from Sitecore the user's input for that value. Okay, and then when we override the execute method, we can do whatever we need to do, just whatever logic we need to run before confirming whether the condition is met or not. It has to return a bool value, so it has to be true or false. And as you can see, what we are doing is basically compare the current year with the year that the user input in Sitecore. If they are the same, then we return true. If not, then we return false. Okay, so what we have to do is specify the namespace and the name of the class here in Sitecore, and also tell Sitecore which assembly it should use to look for this specific backend code. So in this case will be this one. So we click save, and now we have our condition created. We will assign the tag that we created in the first step to the tags defined in this element. Okay, so Sitecore demo, we hit save, and then we need to do one more step if we want to have available the new condition that we created in the list of conditional rules defined for conditional renderings. So if we go to the conditional renderings section, expand that and go to tags, we will see that in the default section, we can add our custom Sitecore demo tag. Okay, we click save, and that's it. That's all we need to do to create our custom rule. Now, if we go back to our page and go to the presentation details, we can add now a new rule to determine what kind of content we will display. Um, this is how the page looks. Now it just has an image, and you can see it's a coming soon image. What we'll do is we will add our rule and show a different image based on whether the movie is already released or not. Okay, so we'll click on the plus icon. We will give it the name of movie and then edit rule. If we scroll down, we will see that now we have a Sitecore demo section with our rule. Click on that. And here's where we can adjust our condition based on what we need. So the first thing we can update is this where to make it except where or where the movie launch here has a value that we will leave it as is. And then in this compares to section, we can select from this list whatever suits our needs better. We can either select is equal to, not equal to, contains, and so on. In this case, we will leave is equal to selected. And finally, we need to assign a value. Value is what we define in our condition, but will be replaced once we click on it and assign a proper value. In this case, let's say current year is 2024. So we'll click OK. And this is our final rule. So where the movie launch year has a value that is equal to 2024, click OK. What we will do in that case is show the now showing banner, okay, because the movie has already been released. Now we click OK. We can define default behavior or not. That's up to us. And we can also click hide here to hide the component if the first condition is false, and it then defaults to what we define here in this section. One thing to notice is that all the rules are executed in the order defined here. So if we have 3 rules, then it'll run through the first one. If it is true, then it'll stop there and display the content accordingly. If it is false, then it'll go to the next one and run the evaluation again, and so on until it gets to the default. Okay, so let's save this and see how that reflects in our backend. So now the movie has been released this year and should be using the new banner, which is now showing. Okay, now let's try the opposite case just for the sake of this demo. If we click on details, go back, personalize, and now we want to edit our rule. And let's say our movie will be released in 2025, next year. So it's not yet released. We should display a banner of coming soon. Okay, so we click OK here, and we will update this to show coming soon. Okay, so if the movie will be released in 2025, meaning we still need to wait for it to be released, we will display a coming soon banner. We click OK. Disregard that, just a misconfiguration in my local environment. And we refresh our page. And as you can see, the content has been updated. We can do this with all the components in our website. As you can see, it's a really powerful tool to help display users content that is more accurate and more personal, more related to whatever condition we need to cover. And that's what personalization refers, right? It's delivering targeted, relevant content to our visitors. So yeah, this was conditional renderings. I hope you learned something and that you can implement this in the future. It's a really powerful tool. It's really helpful. And yeah, it was nice having you. See you next time.